Hi. Though we had a few difficulties, well, it's not easy to have a live broadcast under about 40 degrees Celsius. So you can see the nice sceneries, but luckily for you, you can't feel the temperatures here. My name is Oded Kainan. I am a behavioral ecologist, a researcher, and the director of academic development at the Dead Sea and Arava Science Center. We are a research institute under the backup of the Ministry of Science and Innovation in Israel, Ben Gurion University in the Negev, and the local municipalities. And our researchers work and study this magnificent region that you can see here just behind us. We try to study the local conditions. We try to study the environment and the adaptations of different organisms to the region. And together with the municipality, we try to find solutions to those harsh conditions, to the challenges of living in this magnificent but hyper-arid environment. So I would like to start by inviting Mr. Nir Wanger, the mayor of the local municipality, the Tamar Regional Council, to give a few words. Nir couldn't be here with us due to previous commitments, but we will broadcast his words. So please, let's hear Nir Wanger.
First of all, I thank Doron Polak for bringing us here. Thank you very much, Doron. It's good to be back to work with you for the Tamar Regional Council here. I'm staying here in the Dead Sea, the special place that it's combined the Judean desert and the Dead Sea. Our place is bring everything together. It's a health place, it's science place, it's art place, and the Biellale that you all are in, it's combined all our special life in this special and unique area. What all the world gonna live in 20 or 30 years with climate change, we live like this for the last 30 or 40 years. Like we do agriculture in 40 and 50 Celsius degrees, or our sewage water is recycled and going to agriculture and gardening. And all this can be happen because we have great science here in our Arava and Dead Sea Science Center in our area, the partnership with the Tel Aviv University, and all this also get a place with the heart when we put the place of art in all this special life and unique life in the Dead Sea. So from the lowest place in earth, we can always go up. So I wish you all a good Biennale, a good time, and that we are still doing, searching, and create together for a long time. Thank you.
So we are sitting here at the lowest place on earth, broadcasting to you, and living in this region is not something that is suitable for everyone, because it means that when you're living here, you need to live under summer temperatures that may rise up to 50 degrees centigrade. And when you're living here during winter, every small drop of rain may become a beautiful, though dangerous, flash flood. So the people that live here in the local kibbutzim and agricultural communities, the moshavim, come here with a profound love and dedication for this region. And I want to introduce today two of the artists that live and work in this region. And I have here with me and Mira that sits just next to me, I have two artists that work here in the region. Esther Afriat Malul, she is, can you broadcast her? Yes, Esther Afriat Malul and Jojo Ochayon. Esther is both a poet and a painter, living in the local agriculture community of Neota Kikar. And welcome here. Thank you for coming in these high temperatures. And I would like to ask you a few questions regarding your art. First of all, maybe start by telling us, how does living in this region influence your art? So please.
Like my parents, immigrant from Morocco, me and my husband came to the desert to build a home like my parents. I live here 40 years. I was a teacher, and now I dedicate my time between the. I dedicate my time to painting and to writing. These days I producing my first book. It contains poems and part of my paintings. The sources of my inspirations, it's a lot of sources. My ideas, my emotions, my thoughts, and also the big reason it's the environment. The human environment influenced me, the geographic environment, the natural phenomenon environment in our area, like at the fall, the migration of the birds above our heads, the floods at the streams, and the beautiful layers in the wall of the floods. Of course, the history of this place, and the sun, the layers, sunrises, and the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is a very good and very beautiful inspiration for my art. The Dead Sea have a lot of good things, good health, for good skin health, and we have a lot of mysterious in our area also.
Thank you. This is really impressive and really full of inspiration. You have so many paintings just behind you. Would you be able to give us a short explanation and tell us about these beautiful paintings? Thank you.
Yes. My paintings, like my poems, sit inside me like an organic gallery, and they go out like a little lights, and they light my artwork, art road. So from the name of the paintings, you can understand the meaning of my art. This paint talks about the act of love in the Dead Sea, skin to skin. This paint speak about the good environment. It's a word from the Kabbalah. This paint speak about the source of water, a sunrises, a lace sunrises in our area. This abstract and speak about themselves, speak about himself. And this paint speak about the layers in our life, layers in our body, layers in our skin, layers in our fruits, layers and layers of history, and the private stories. Thank you.
This is really impressive. Sadly, we don't have more time to present these paintings, but I think that this point of layers, of bringing your own, living as a farmer and living as someone in the Dead Sea, and it's all being shown here in your paintings, and it's really beautiful. And I just heard that you translated a poem that you wrote especially for this event. So we are really honored to hear it, and we'll be happy to hear the poem.
A sea of sunrises. In the morning, gently he opens his eyes. Sunrises spread like lace bridal gown over the ancient sea. They play to its shores, awakening sounds grazing. The waves' movements cradle the fragrance of dawn in shade of blue. Like a wise old grandfather, his shores whisper the finest chapter of history. Each page and rock, each cave and salt chimney, folding within his thick book a refuge, a tale, mysteries of mysteries, and secrets of secrets of the universe.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Esther. I have here with me Jojo Chayon. Jojo is a renowned artist, living also in the agriculture community of Ein Tamar in the southern shores of the Dead Sea. Jojo is working from very influenced by the region that you are living in, but also combines ethnic design together with more contemporary Western art. So let's start, Jojo, by you telling us a little bit about your art and how living in these conditions and this region influence it.
I came to establish Moshav Ein Tamar before 43 years ago. I chose to live near the Dead Sea with my family. The bright desert is like the painting canvas for me, so I can paint with many colors. The quiet place gives me power to create all the time.
Great, thank you. So I understand, instead of just telling us about your work, you want to present the process itself that you do. So please welcome. I'll hold the mic for you, and you will, or you want me? And if you want, of course, show us your artwork, the statue that you have over there behind. So please, I'll give you the time.
This is lots of women made from metal, and this abstract painting what I doing sometimes. Now I can show you my technique, action painting. This is the technique.
All right, so beautiful. You can see the technique. You can see this, the art, the statue just behind us. And now I will turn back. Thank you, Jojo. Thank you, Esther. It was very impressive, and we are happy to have you here in the Dead Sea. I would like to bring the broadcast back to Dr. Mira Marcus Kalish from Tel Aviv University to present our next speakers, the scientists. And after the presentations, we will be here to answer any question or to get any comments from you. So thank you very much at the moment. And Mira, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Doron. And really, you know, if you would have been here, that's what we asked you. And I hope you will be soon. You would have been seen this marvelous area, the nature wonder. And I really hope that we can do it in the right way. The artists and the scientists that can join forces, and each one from his point of view see this marvelous area and the very special place. So I hope you will see a little bit of the surrounding and go from there. And I want to relate to the Thinking Ahead initiative, the artists and scientists, and especially to the Beyond the Skin exhibition, and give special place that can contribute to Beyond the Skin, the very important, relevant area on Beyond the Skin that has a big advantage here in this Dead Sea area and region. And actually, skin is the mirror to our life, and as I said, and the mirror to our behavior. And we went through everything in our life, and everything that we did is marked on our skin. It's written in our skin from the day of birth to the day of death. Everything is written in our skin. And therefore, I want to go further and present Professor Dr. Nurit Harel, which is an industrialist and researcher specializing in photobiology. In our context, she talked about the skin, the microbiome, and so on. And this research, together with the next scientist that will talk here, Professor Karmit Levy, that I will introduce her. She's from the Faculty of Medicine, Tel Aviv University, an expert in melanoma, skin, and UV exposure. And those two scientists from Tel Aviv University are part of the joint venture of Tel Aviv University and the Dead Sea Arava Science Center, located in joint forces to build the Dead Sea Research Institute, which is right here on the way to Metzada, as I showed you. So before we are moving forward, I want to tell you that the Dead Sea Research Institute, it's not only at the lowest place on earth, it has interest, as I said, in all areas of science, and it's a wonderful joint collaboration that you will hear and heard two of the lectures that was done here in joint collaboration. So now I want to invite Karmit Levy from the Faculty of Medicine in Tel Aviv University to launch her talk.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you two, maybe three projects from my lab. We are investigating the effect of UV exposure on various aspects and physiological of our body. This whole project actually started because I'm a melanoma person and skin physiology and pigmentation person. So this whole project started from a very simple question, which was skin tanning. So how skin will respond to different frequency. In this paper, we play with the frequency of UV exposure rather than the dose, and that was remarkable. So we found that let me grab the laser. לא טוב. טוב, בוא נתחיל מההתחלה. כי לא מצאתי את הלייזר.
בסדר גמור.
חכי את הכל ואני מתחילה מההתחלה.
בסדר גמור, אין בעיה.
איפה הלייזר? הנה הוא. סבבה. טוב. Hello, everybody. Good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity to present our project, my lab. We are investigating in this talk that I'm going to give you the UV exposure effect on human physiology in several aspects. My background is melanoma person, skin biology, nothing to do with all these physiological systems that I'm going to show you, but we end up studying it because it was inevitable. So how it all started? It all started from a simple questions on the function of melanocytes in the skin, which is skin pigmentation. So in this paper, we were playing with the frequency of UV rather than the dose of UV exposure. We were giving the skin, this is human skin, we were giving UV exposure, UVB, low dose of UVB, every other day or every day to the skin. And we were measuring the pigmentation level. And what was remarkable is that every other day exposure of skin to UV resulted in much higher, significantly higher skin tanning. When we went deep to understand this physiological patterning, we figure out that there is a mathematical pattern of skin tanning. Here we collaborated with mathematicians from the Technion, and we published this paper basically offering the world that there is a clock that is sensitive to the frequency of UV exposure in our skin, and this clock, basically transcription and gene expression clock, that is responsible for the response to UV and the tanning as a response to this trigger. Now, when we were working on it, and we were also had a lot of mouse models in this project, the vet that was working with us, she told me, Karmit, after this long-term exposure of mice to very low dose of UV exposure, they are different. Their fat distribution is different. It seems like metabolism is different. So they look different. Their lymph nodes are different. Something is different with mice. And then it triggers us. We were curious to understand, okay, so what else is the effect of UV exposure? And if I'm summarizing what I showed you before on the skin tanning, this is what we found. What we found. So it is all within the epidermis of the skin, the first layer of the skin, which is UV is affecting keratinocytes, the top skin. They are sending this hormone to melanocytes, which are the production of melanin. And this melanin is then distributed in the cells. And this is skin tanning. That's what I told you so far. But when you are measuring, as I told you about the vet, that she said that there are physiological changes, when you are measuring the blood, this is students that I took them to the sun outside and we took blood before and after UV exposure and we did proteomics, so understanding the different proteins that are expressed in the blood. That was very fascinating because look what happened to our blood after 15 minutes in the sun. We have changes in the immune system, in the endocrine system. And then that, with the observation of the vet, made us think of, okay, we must go ahead and study the physiological effect of UV exposure, of sun exposure. That was ringing a bell on a project that was done in the lab where I did my postdoc. So there was a PhD student there, and she was investigating the addiction to UV exposure. People that are sun-seeking behavior or feeling high. We all feel high after being exposed to the sun on the beach. So she was investigating that. She found that UV exposure is causing a release of beta endorphin to the blood. And when you're checking in mice, they showed signals of addiction. So they prefer to be in a room. This is preference, okay, place. So the mice were preferred to be in a room where they were receiving the UV exposure because UV exposure was rewarding to them. They received this beta endorphin. So this is another example of how UV exposure or sun exposure is affecting our mood or physiological. And that brings me back to that scheme. So this scheme, again, is focusing on what happened within the skin and explaining skin pigmentation. But if you look at this part of the paper, of this figure, you see that UV exposure, sun exposure, is not only responsible for the production of pigment within the skin. There are more hormones that are released from the skin after UV exposure, for example, the beta endorphin that I just showed you, but also there were signs for ACTH, maybe released to the skin, to the blood, maybe not, but there was ACTH presence after UV exposure in the skin, which means that in the skin, there are hormones that can be produced and needs to be investigated, released to the blood and affecting our physiology. And that's what we did. So we were looking for ACTH. ACTH is known to be involved in the appetite system. And this is where were the start point of this paper. We were taking male mice and female mice, exposing them to UV, very low UV dose. They are not red. They are not becoming, their skin is not showing redness, erythema, but they are mild UV exposure for long weeks. And we were measuring their body weight. And that was remarkable because male show an increase, significant increase in their body weight compared to female. When you look at, here we did some behavioral tests for the mice. Here we placed the food in those stairs. And here we placed the food in the center of the room. So mice needed to walk around in order to reach the food. So if you want to study appetite, we wanted to study why male eat more, why their body weight is increasing. Is it that they eat more, so their appetite is increasing, or their physiological metabolism is changing in a different way? So that was the measurement here. We were measuring, you are making the animal difficult reaching out for the food. And then you see whether UV is affecting trying to reach out for the food better. Here, the food is placed on the stairs. Here, the food is placed in the center of the center of the room, which makes it difficult for the mice to reach there because mice doesn't like to be in the center. It doesn't like to be in the light. So that was the measurement that we did. We gave them food and we were exposing them to UV or not, control group. And this is the data that you can see. In male, okay, they were taking much more food after UV exposure. But their attempts to reach out to the food were similar, which means that there is nothing about their physiological ability to move, motility, but rather their wish, they're eager to go towards the food and eat more. In female, there was no difference after UV exposure. Female eat the same. In the open field, similar. Male reach out much more to the center, reaching out more to the food and eat more. And female do not. From that, we concluded that the is increasing after UV exposure. Then I reach out to Iftach Kepner, he's epidemiologist in our department, and we were checking human data because mice are great, but they are not human. And that was what we found. We found this is 3,000 people filling up questionnaires of what do they eat during the year. And there was significant increase in the calories that male eat in the summer. This is human compared to the winter. Female ate similarly along the year. We also gave questionnaires to patients that are going through phototherapy in the clinic. And we asked them questions about appetite. And that was the answers. The answer was in male, after phototherapy sessions, there was an increase in the size of the meal and the frequency that those patients were looking for food compared to female when there was no difference. So we concluded that indeed UV is affecting appetite. Now, how it is affecting appetite? We were measuring several hormones, and ghrelin and leptin are the hormones responsible for our appetite. And you can see nicely that ghrelin, which is the hunger, it's the appetite hormone, is significantly increasing in male, but it doesn't change in females, which completely fit to what we saw before. So UV, you see here the blue, after UV exposure, there is significant increase in ghrelin in male, but not in female, which goes along with the increase in appetite. To figure out further the mechanism, we were checking the ghrelin in the skin to see maybe similar to beta endorphin or vitamin D. Ghrelin is also produced in the skin and is released from the skin. And that's what you can see here. This is images of human skin after exposure to UV. You can see in pink the ghrelin in the human skin, which doesn't appear in the female skin. So only male skin, there was an increase after UV exposure of ghrelin in the skin, but not in female. There is much more data in the paper, but we played with hormones in culture. So we took the skin cell, the fat skin cell, and we gave the fat skin cell UV exposure in the lab, but we were tricking them because we gave the cells testosterone or estrogen to see how the cells are going to respond in the production of ghrelin, the appetite hormone. And that's what you can see here. So when we were giving a control, there is a production of ghrelin after UV exposure. But when you give testosterone, wonderful, production of ghrelin after UV exposure. You give estrogen, there is a block. Estrogen is preventing, the female hormone, right? So estrogen is preventing the production of ghrelin after UV exposure. We went deep into the molecular level. So every gene that is expressed in our body from the DNA has a promoter. Promoter is the regulatory element of this gene. And you can see how this promoter is active after UV exposure. But if you put estrogen, this promoter is not active, which means that estrogen is blocking the production of ghrelin exposure. And when you eliminate estrogen by taking out the ovaries, the female now can produce this ghrelin. So this is what I showed you in this paper. Basically, when UV exposure hits the skin, there is a production of ghrelin, okay? The hormone responsible for appetite. And this production happens in male, but not in female. Why? Because estrogen is blocking it. And this is why the phenotype is that we see that mice eat more after UV exposure, and also male in human. And this is what we did here. Okay, so in this paper, we were investigating the food intake, the appetite. And I then went to my friend, colleague, she is the head of the zoology department, Noga Korenfeld, and I asked her, zoology-wise, evolutionary-wise, can you explain me, understand why would male hunt more after food, after UV exposure, and female do not? And she said, Karmit, everything is fertility. So go and check the testes size of those male. And that's what we did. So my students checked the testes size, and you can see a significant increase in the size of the testes of male that were exposed to UV exposure. You can see it here. So that observation opened up the whole field of what is the effect of UV exposure on fertility, sexual behavior, and all of these aspects. We also, again, gave questionnaires to people who went through phototherapy, male and female patients. And that was nice to see that in both male and female, both of them reported in these questionnaires that after phototherapy, so after UV exposure, both of them, there is enhancement of their romantic passion, as you can see in the paper. We then did, again, measurement in the blood of human and mice after UV exposure, and you can see significant increase in the sexual hormones, so estrogen, testosterone, estradiol, progesterone, etc., as you can see it here. Then we did, again, behavioral studies. So first, we were recording the mice. So if the mice are excited to see each other and there is sexuality or sexual behavior there, enhancement, we will see much, we can record many more recording. The male are going to talk much more to each other or to the female. And that's what you can see here. So when the male was meeting a female that was exposed to UV, the male starts singing like crazy, significantly. So there is something about the female that was received the UV that she become much more triggering. In this test, what you do, you let the male be in the middle, and there are two rooms, and the male can choose which room it wants to spend more time with. So we placed a female that was with UV, female that was not in the UV, and we let the male choose which female you prefer to go to. And you can see the color significantly. The male ran towards the female that was in the UV. The female was much more attractive to the male. You can see it here, regardless if the male was with UV or not UV, but the female that was with the UV, she was much more attractive to the male. We were also video recording them, and we saw much more activity when the female was exposed to UV. So there was a significant more responsive. So the female was not just more attractive, it was also more responsive to the male sexual behavior. We were looking for the estrus of those mice, and you can see that the estrus is increasing significantly in the female. That can start explaining why the female was much more attractive to the male. So there is an increase in the estrus. There is an increase in the sexual hormone, LH, FSH, and the ovaries were bigger. There were more follicles. The ovaries of the female mice increased significantly after UV exposure. Then we again went to see some human data. We were looking here for the testosterone level in human. So this is male. you can see more testosterone in male after UV exposure. And when we are thinking about the skin tone, so these are white, Caucasian male, and this is blackish skin color male, the sensitivity in terms of testosterone to UV exposure was much significant in the white skin. So white skin responds much better in the increasing of testosterone to sun exposure than the darker skin. A little bit into the mechanism. So we found the transcription factor that is responsible for it, which is P53, and the P53 in the skin. We didn't stop there. We were also, this is another paper published recently. We went to the fertility clinic in Sheba Medical Center, and we checked their data. And the hormone that we were looking for was MSH. So this hormone, sorry, AMH, sorry for saying MH. This is the melanocyte hormone. We were looking for AMH. AMH is the hormone that is a detecting of the reserve, of the ovary reserve. So the amount of follicles available in the ovary. And what we found is that in the summer, there is a significant increase in the AMH level in older, I should have done this. Just a second. Okay. So in those female, there was a significant increase in the level of AMH during the summer in the older female that came to the clinic. So what I showed you is basically that the UV exposure is resulting in changes in the skin that is increasing the fertility of the female, sexual behavior of the female through this axis. I also showed you how UV exposure or sun exposure is affecting the appetite of male, but not of female, due to the estrogen. And there are so many people to thank during this work. You can see here the list of people that we were working here. So there is a psychologist here, and physicians, endocrinologist, skin biologist, computational. So all of them is a big thank you to those people. In both papers, they were helping us, questionnaires, etc. I also want to thank the Dead Sea and Arava Science Center, because they were also supporting us in a grant. And together with Marco Harari, he's a physician over there, we were doing this work in collaboration. And I want to thank, of course, my group and the funding for this research. And I want to thank you for listening. After telling you all the scientific stories, I want to give the art angle to this story. So when you publish the paper, you can also ask for to be on the cover. And in the cover of the journal, you can offer an artistic vision or artistic work that based on your scientific work. That's what we did here. And you can see that we did win the cover of the Journal of the Cell Reports. This artwork, here is a better version. So, מה? מההתחלה דפקתי את זה? כן. לא זה. After telling you all the stories about the scientific stories, I will tell you the art angle of our work. So every time you have a paper accepted for publication, you can also win the cover of the journal by offering some representation of your scientific work. And that's what we did here in the work that I showed, and fertility of UV exposure on mice and human. We offered this cover, and we did win to be on the cover of the journal. This is a zoom in of this artwork. This artwork was done by the artist Zofnat Ozeri. And the idea of this artwork is having a shape of heart folded by a paper, cut and folded by a paper, and then being arranged like a sun shape. And this is a representative of how sun rays, UV exposure has an effect, benefit effect on romantic passion, sexual behavior, and fertility. Thank you all.
Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us to the talk about the skin moisture. My name is Nurit Harel. I'm from the industry and also a scientist, and today we'll talk about the science and why the water are so important, or actually the water balance is so important for our skin, and how the skin maintain this balance. So when we are talking about water, this is the molecular, the dynamic water molecule, which has 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. There is some electric hole in between them, and they all the time have some dynamic dance between them. There are 3 molecules all the time moving. If you're looking on a glass of water, the molecules inside are dancing all the time and coming together and separate and coming together with another molecule, and there is a dynamic movement in the water all the time. They are not really charged with positive, completely positive ion or positive and negative ion, but they have a little dipole, a little charge at the end, which make them come together like a very light magnet, the minus to the plus. It's called hydrogen bond, that weak, relatively weak, and very important for the water property. And what are the molecular property? We are still talking now about the water itself, nothing with our body. So the polarity, the water molecules are polar, meaning they have a positive and negative end, allowing them to attract different molecules. They have high specific heat, and this is very important. To heat water, you have to use a lot of energy. It's not easy to heat them, and it's not very easy to cool them. So in our body, they're keeping our temperature in balance. You have to, when you are sick, you know the temperature are going higher, you have to invent or to use a lot of energy to change the balance of the temperature of the water. They are universal solvent. They can dissolve many ingredients of the water. Actually, they have high density. The high density meaning they are crowded molecule. It's not very easy to dance water. If you want to try to make the water in your glass to a smaller volume, you have to have a lot of energy to do that, and it's not easy, and it's very important to the body because it's keep the shape of our cells, so they will want to be condensed easily. They have high surface tension, and they can balance the pH. This is just the water molecule in chemistry everywhere, not just in our body, the property of the water. What are the rules in our cell? As I just started to mention, and I hope by the end of the talk you will understand that it's very complex and deep, the water is essential to proper function and structure of the cell. It's play a crucial role in our hydration, the cell hydration. Imagine a ball like the ball in the picture on the right that have a lot of life inside of it. If I will take it out and shrink it, nothing could move inside, and it will not be able to function. In the cell, we have many enzyme and protein, and think that, imagine them like a small machine that have to work properly. If they will not have the space and the area and the volume around them, they cannot move. The cycle will not move, nothing will happen. We need the volume of the cell, so they keep the cell in hydration. Because they are very good solvent, they enable nutrient transport and easy. We'll talk about chemical reaction a little bit later. And as I said before, very important is the regulation of the temperature, because if the temperature change, the protein are changed, the 3-dimension structure of the protein is changed. Imagine that when you are boiling an egg, the structure of the protein inside are changing. That's why it becomes hard-boiled egg. So if it change in the structure, it will be malfunction. So the temperature regulation is very important for our health and skin function. Another very important role of the water in the cell respiration and actually in the energy production in our body. We understand everything needs energy or fuel to work. If I want to speak now, if I want to move my hand, it's like my car needs the fuel. I need an energy that my body is producing it. And actually the water have a pivotal role in the production of the ATP, which is our fuel, the body fuel. And without the water, the cell cannot efficiently generate energy. It's also involved in electron transfer chain and also in the solvation of some of the ingredients which are involved in the production of this food. So without water, we cannot produce efficient energy. And when people are getting are dried because they didn't drink enough, they are very weak because they cannot generate energy efficiency. One of the reasons. There are some other reasons, other imbalances. As we know, most of our body is based, the process in the body are enzymes which process in the cell, and they have to be in a specific three-dimensional structure. So the substrate, which is coming into, if you look on the right side, so you see a substrate, have to be linked directly to the place in the enzyme. So for example, in this case, this red dot can go out or go in. It doesn't matter. There are many different enzymes with different activities, but it's like a key and a lock. You have to be precise in the three-dimensional process, and water is essential for this enzyme to act. It's facilitated to transfer the enzyme and their substrate to appropriate cellular location, and they regulate the pH. If we change the pH again, it will not work properly. When we are talking about the skin, there are usually people talking about 3 levels of the skin. There is the epidermis, which is the most outer layer of the skin, the dermis, which is the middle layer of the skin where all the blood vessel, everything is happening over there. And there is the hypodermis, which is the lower layer of the skin, mainly fat cell, which connect the skin to our body and protect us. For me, if you listen to my previous or my next talk, I'm not sure which one will be the first, you know there is the 4th level, which is the microbiome, which is covering all our skin from the outside. It's the viruses, bacteria, and phage that covering all our skin and have interaction with us. But I will go to the traditional more definition. So we have 3 levels in the skin: the epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Water reservoirs are present in all skin layers, and there are different components maintaining the water balance in each layer. So we have the outer layer, the epidermis, we have the dermis and hypodermis, and in each one, the balance of the water is really important for the function of that layer. So if we are talking about the epidermis, the most outer layer of the skin, what is the role actually of this layer? First of all, to prevent harmful things to go into our body, for example, harmful bacteria, pathogens, or to prevent cracks or cuts in our skin. And we can say it's like a brick and mortar. The bricks are the flattened cells that you see on the upper layer, and in between them there is like the mortar, which is the intercellular matrix which hold them together. And in the upper layer, you see healthy skin. When someone comes, some bacteria, fungi, allergen, anything, try to penetrate the skin, it will not able because the wall is strong and full. But when we are lack of water, the cell does not stick together. The extracellular matrix does not stick them together as good. And then pathogen, allergen, and other things can penetrate into our skin. So the function is really important here, and we have to keep it inside. To do that, I'm not going to go all over of this, but you have to understand that all these factors are involved only in the water balance in the skin. So we're starting from natural moisturizing factor. It's actually molecule that can hold the water molecule inside, the bond them back inside and prevent them from evaporating out from the skin. There are glycosaminoglycan, filaggrin, enzyme, the blood vessel. I'm just reading this list so you understand that chronocyte, aquaporin, enzyme, different enzyme, lipids, ceramide, hyaluronic acid, extra. All of these have to work together to keep the water balance in our skin. So nature will not develop so many methods, which some of them are like first tier and some of them are second tier, but all of them are keeping our water balance in the body if it wasn't that important as we expected. So if we see it's so complex to keep the water balance and all of that involved, let's see what really the role of the water in each level of our skin. So if we talk again about the epidermis, the most upper layer of the skin, the layer that we can see actually when we are looking on our skin, water is crucial for maintaining proper cell structure, function within the outermost layer of the skin, ensuring its resilience and flexibility. The flexibility is also something which is very important for the skin because you don't want it to be too tight because then it can be injured easily. In the second level, in the most lower level of the skin, which is the dermis, which over there are all the blood vessel, the hair follicle, everything is happening there, the collagen, the elasticity, everything is coming from this layer. It contributes to elasticity and firmness of the skin within the dermal layer, supporting collagen and elastin production as well. The blood vessels as well are going there, and they are very important for the water balance because water can be extracted from them outside to the skin and also go inside if we have like inflammation or something like that. The hypodermis, which is the most lower level of the skin, which also sometimes people call it only fat cells, but they are not only fat cells. It provides like cushioning. It's like a cushion when we are walking on it, so it's like balancing the tension. And also there is the fourth level, of course, which is not formal fourth level, only in my talk, which is the microbiome, which will be on top of the skin, which is not represented in this illustration. The proper hydration fosters an environment that supports rich and balanced skin microbiome, which is very important for our skin health. So what do we benefit from balanced skin moisture? So function. First of all, the water is essential for maintaining skin elasticity, barrier function, and overall health by regulating temperature and aiding the nutrition delivery and facilitating waste removal. So first of all, water balance is important for skin functioning. Second, for protection, when a well-hydrated skin barrier protects against environment aggressors. The texture, I know it's not very scientific to talk, but we like to have a nice texture of the skin, smooth skin, hydrated skin, is soft, supple, and smooth to touch. And the appearance also is more radiant and well appearing. But I must say that people always want to have a baby skin. It's not just they want that for the beauty, it's also good for the health because well-hydrated skin and undamaged skin is also healthier skin. So water reservoir in the skin through life stage is changing. When we are infant, skin is naturally hydrated and plump. You don't see unless they have some skin disorder, babies that need to use the moisturizer cream. They have a very high content of water, they can hold it, and it's very good. During the adulthood, the skin maintains a healthy balance of water and lipid, but we are start losing some of the lipid, and then there is more water evaporation, and then we're getting to the dry skin. And the water content decrease, leading to thinner and drier skin. And if we are talking a bit from the practical use, if you look on the moisturizing cream for people around their 40s, it will be much more lighter than for people around their 80s, because in the 80s they lose their lipid and you have to remain their skin barrier. The water from the inside will not evaporate outside. During the 40s, most of the people, I forgot my 40s already, have good lipids and barrier skin as well. What influenced the skin hydration? So as we said before, the age, the weather. If we are in a cold weather or dry weather, it's worse than skin dryness. So we have to use more moisturizer to keep it. Sun exposure, excessive sun exposure can damage the skin and cause dryness. Of course, we can see it immediately when we come back from the beach, but the accumulated damage will be shown maybe 10, 20, 40 years later. Excessive washing. Actually, if we wash the skin with hot water frequently with soaps, then we'll make it more and more dry. Hair condition, of course, and lifestyle. Drinking water. If we drink water, we'll have more water in our whole body balance, and some of it will get also to our skin. Smoking, alcohol, and of course, this can unbalance the skin hydration balance. So when we are talking in the professional psoriasis or xeroderma, which mean actually dry skin, what will we see? We said we will see change in the skin texture. It will be itching. We might have mild to severe peeling, flaking, cracks, fine line, redness, and changes in skin color and tone. This is the results of skin dryness. And as I said before, the balance of the water is so important. The nature developed over maybe 20 or 30 mechanisms to keep it correctly in the skin. Some health conditions that leading to dryness, there are some diseases like atopic dermatitis, psoriasis, eczema, scabies. There are systemic diseases. This is topical disease I talked before, and there are systemic disease like kidney disease, hypothyroidism, and others. Sometimes when we take medication, usually the pharmacist or the doctor will not tell us, but we will find out that suddenly our skin is more dry. But we didn't take anything with the skin, like medication from retinoids medication, diuretic, blood pressure medication, statin, and other treatment. Of course, this is not the whole list of everything, just samples that I wanted to highlight, that the skin moisturizing or hydration is connected to many parameters in our body and our behavior. So how can we treat skin dry? If we don't have dry skin, so we are happy, we don't have to do anything, of course. But if we have dry skin, what can we do? Of course, we can, first of all, drink plenty of water. We can use topical preparation, like any lotion or skin hydration. It depends, as I said, on the age. If you want it more lightly or more heavy, what we call it's like, imagine like a Vaseline, which is the heaviest skin hydration option. It doesn't have any water in it, but it closes the skin and prevent evaporation of water from the skin outside, so the water are kept inside. But if that the skin dryness, of course, doesn't improve, with home treatment, it's recommended to refer to doctor to diagnose the cause of the treat, because we saw that there are so many reasons for skin dryness, so there are many different treatments for that, because different cause will be based on different mechanism in the skin, so we have to repair different things in the skin. And then we have to do a tailored treatment are essential for addressing the diverse cause of the skin. Sorry for double addressing. And just I want to give some sample. This is from my own company, but it's also from other company, but here I'm very familiar with the different mechanism. So if we are talking on the foot, on the foot and on the dry skin on the foot, you have to use something with more heavy, not just have moisture, also keratolytic, which peel off by chemical way, very gentle chemical way, the dry skin, the outermost level of the dry skin, and give water inside. If you are coming back from the beach, moisture is one point, but you have a lot of free radical because you were exposed to sun radiation, which is high oxidative factor on our body. So it's better that in your moisturizing skin, you have also a lot of antioxidant that will neutralize the free radical to prevent longer results. Actually, it's accumulated result that we see in 10 or 10, 20, 30 years. We don't see them. Sometimes we come back home, the sunburn is recovered and the skin is okay and we think nothing happened. No, the skin unfortunately, remembering its DNA, and when enough accumulated damage to the DNA occur, we start to see the fine wrinkle and the heavy line and then sometimes even cancer. So it's important to prevent this prolonged damage that even immediately we don't see. Of course, when we are talking about the eye is the very delicate skin and the thin, I think behind the ear is the thinner skin that we have, but it's the second thinner skin in our body, and we have to use a thing which more gentle, which adapt to the eye as well. If we are talking about babies, usually when they are newborn, it's not like when they are a child. When they are 3 years old, they have the perfect skin. But when they are newborn, they don't have enough fat in their skin. So we need a more oily treatment, like a bath oil or something like that, that will cover in their skin with a slight level of oil. Of course, in your 40 or 30 or 50, there are different things that you want to change in your skin, so you have to adapt the treatment as well. And when you are old, more old, you can use moisturizers that have in them like lactic acid, alpha hydroxy acid, or something that will enhance the internal mechanism, our body mechanism, to work better to maintain the water balance. We have to work with the body. We are not taking the role of the moisturizing of internal elements of our body. It's also that we are working with the internal elements or either making them to work, but we are not replacing them anytime. So in conclusion, the skin is a complex and dynamic system in which maintaining the water balance is essential for its proper function. There are dozens of factors involved and different ways of influence the maintaining health and function and beautiful skin. As I was requested to interpret it maybe on art, I looked, what can I find about art and skin moisturizing or skin hydration? So the picture on the left is from Daphne Moria, and just to be fair with you, she's my sister, but it's so complex. I said maybe it's just, I can see it, the complicity of the factors that involve in skin hydration and some blue water molecule there, and I'm sure that wasn't what she meant, but it's in the eye of the viewer, as you say, always about art. And I couldn't find a lot of work about hydration, artists who refer directly to hydration, skin hydration. So maybe one of you can explore it and find it for us. Thank you.
Dear Doron, thank you very much, our curator that dreams and achieves. I'm Mira Marcus Kalish from Tel Aviv University and the Dead Sea Research Institute, and I will take you to a short introductory on the treasures of the Dead Sea. I feel really, really privileged to be part of the Thinking Ahead Artist Scientist Initiative, looking on the broadband picture of nature wonders. And actually, this went through along-wise all my academic research, the multidisciplinarity, the converging technology relating to the human body as one functioning system with his surrounding. And the last years with special focus on the human brain and the surrounding, as you can see it right now. So the Dead Sea Research Institute region is a special beauty and a very special place by all means, especially these days, as it can serve as a lesson from nature to live in extreme condition, to adjust and adapt to extreme condition, and not only, also with special gain in medical health, in culture. Our ancestors really created the culture thousands of years ago at this area in extreme condition. So this is the lowest place on earth, but as I said, not only with several privileges that will go through it in a very short introductory. So the uniqueness of the Dead Sea, it's not only that it's the lowest place on earth, but rather complex geological form, a body of water, salty water, rare wild life that is very interesting to go around and see, medical treatments, as I said, and the cradle of human culture. So I will go just very briefly along the special qualities of this area. As I say, the lowest place on earth, but this provides us a very special thing regarding the sun. The solar rays that are attenuated, and thus people can stay in the sun with less risk. It helps to skin disease. We are speaking beyond the skin and eye disease and all that. But not only the sun, the pressure, the oxygen pressure is higher in 6% in this area, which means that you can breathe much better. It is rich in aerosols that relaxes you, bromide and magnesium, low humidity, and relatively clean air. It's less polluted in the periphery and so on. And we were speaking about help to stress as well. So it's the sun, it's the air, and it's the mud. The mud, which is rich in minerals and antibacterial properties. And nowadays, we even did a research to try to penetrate through the skin, the medical treatment through the skin, rather than through the stomach. So those things are also very, very important. We talked about forms of arthritis and reduce wrinkles. If I would have stayed at the Dead Sea, I would have had much less wrinkles. And the last thing is the water that we talked already. It's salty water that combines mineral, that is very healthy and helps paraplex and other rehabilitation forms. So this very special, and we say just a bit, this very special place is unique, and I want to go a little bit further into that. We spoke about the sun, as I say, that attenuated, and now the mud, and you can see here the Harvard School of Public Health that came over and did the research. Everybody put the mud on him and did the research on it, which is very important to skin microbiome, and I hope we'll hear more about that later, and climate therapy. But as you say, the name is Dead Sea, but it's not really dead. There are halophilic bacteria. There are many more areas at this water. And even nowadays, even more, and we'll go through that a little bit later. So it's not dead, it's really alive, and it has a lot of good properties. And coming back to our ancestors, thousands of years ago, they knew how to adapt, how to adjust, how to survive in extreme conditions, and write the Bibles and other religions. So I think this is a wonderful place. And if all those areas which are, in Israel and in the Palestinians and our neighbors in Jordan, very, very special places to go and to learn about our heritage. And thus, this is, for my opinion, the right time, and not only the right time and the right place to the world interest. We have the threat of climate change, so we have to learn from this area how to adapt and how to survive. The converging technology, looking on the broad picture as we see here, and the micro-macro environment, and also healthy aging for our kids that will breathe better at the Dead Sea and for our elderly. And that's what I show here are the book of Professor Brainbridge and Rocco that wrote about converging technology by all point of view and knowledge and society. And that we should go, and we'll come back to that on art and science. So I just want to give you some examples about the medical and health. So we spoke already about the skin. We have the exhibition Beyond the Skin, so it's very relevant. The joint disease, the eye disease, but also improved immune system, blood pressure, adult diabetics. We can't go into all that, but just if you want, you can see all those things. And beyond all, cardiovascular disease and cystic fibrosis. So in cardiovascular disease, it was a research done with one of the hospitals in Israel, the Haifa Hospital, that if the intervention in cardiovascular disease would have done at the Dead Sea, 30% less people would be not with us nowadays, because the inflammation, because of the clean air, because of the very fast curing and so on. And there are more to that, I can't go into that. And the same about the cystic fibrosis, the kids that, as I said, breathe better and feel better, and asthma and so on. And this is a very, very special area. And there is, we need to go more into that very soon. So also, as I said, the aging and beyond the skin, there is a lot of industry and a lot of research done here in the marker of aging, the mud, using the mud, not only to cosmetic, but also to curing and so on. And there are many, many works done here regarding the aging. So if you want to remain a little bit younger, come over here for a little while. And we are speaking about the Dead Sea again, so I'm speaking about the sinkholes, because nowadays that the Dead Sea is shrinking, the rumor is that everything is dead at the Dead Sea, but not like that. The sinkholes are very, there is many living creature at the sinkholes. It's a combination of sweet water and salty water, and you just see here a very short example. And I'm sorry about the short time, but on all of these topics we can go further. And speaking about zoology and people that are the creatures that are living there, also the people that are doing the research, but mainly the zoology huge brand. So you see here just a very small portion of zoology studies that are done in the Dead Sea. There are a lot of more done in this area. Sorry about the short time, but we have to go further. And then we are moving to NASA, who came over here, and we wanted to do the studies on the that they are doing on in the volcans, and to combine it with the halophilic bacteria at the Dead Sea, and that's what we did. Another proposal that we got from NASA to do in this area is regarding the hyperspectral remote sensing of Earth from space, and more than that, to train the astronauts and so on. So this is a very special combination of things that we can do in a special place. And also, Professor Ada Yonat would have never got the Nobel Prize if she wouldn't have worked at the Dead Sea and thus succeeded to crystallize the ribosome. And she said it in her words, as you can see here. So thanks to the crystallization of the ribosome, she was able to understand and get the Nobel Prize. So, and there are many more. you know, we are very short and it's just an introductory, but that's what we have. And as I said, also industry. There are a big branch of industries that are done here, from healthy, medical to cosmetics and so on. And thus, we established here in this very, very special area, the Dead Sea Research Institute on the way to Metzada as a joint venture of the Tamar Municipality, Tel Aviv University, and the Dead Sea and Arava R&D Science Center, which is very, very broad in the area of research. And just to see, before we established that, those were the areas that was research was done at the Dead Sea and published. Today, we have a much broader bench of research areas and interest at the Dead Sea, especially, as I said, nowadays. And thus, it gives us another opportunity. We were talking about culture, to bridge all the cultures that went through this area, and meetings regarding regional collaboration, hoping for better times soon. And you see here about water and tourism, a meeting at the Dead Sea in Israel, and also two other very special research that were done in collaboration with the Jordanian and the Palestinians. One is weather mitigation and climate change that was done with Helmholtz. And the second one, the Dead Sea Net, is about the earthquake, early detection about the earthquake that was done together with Switzerland. And there was one simulator put in Amman in Jordan, the other simulator that was put in Jericho, and the third one in En-Gedi, in Kibbutz En-Gedi. So there is hope, and there is things like the birds that don't see the borders, we shouldn't see it as well. And it's the right time and right, interest in the world. And this is just one example from Europe and the United States on possible area of collaboration upon their interest. And thus, we did 2 summits at the Dead Sea, at the Dead Sea Research Institute. And you can see it here with people coming from all over the world, and with publication with the question, can the Dead Sea be the key to global survival? And the answers are very nice. And anyone who wants to listen to all the lectures, you have here the link. Please go and listen to all the lectures for people all over the world. And the last, coming back to art and science, I brought back Professor George Whitesides, and he came over to the Dead Sea, which is both one of the best scientists in the world and an artist. And I show here his 2 books of art and science. And he was insisting on getting into the Dead Sea at night and putting the mud. And he wanted to show, and I'm coming back to his book on the converging technologies that we talked earlier, to see how this is a world special thing to float. And I just want to come back to these things because the floating is a special tool for deal with mental and physical treatment, and especially if we are speaking about paraplegs and if we are speaking about other things, you have the minerals and you have the floating, so they don't have to put you at the swimming pool on a chair or something. You are floating and the physiotherapist is just working on you. So there is here so many opportunities and so many good things to improve and to make better to the world mentally and physically, and that's what we are planning to do. And what you see here is the Dead Sea Research Institute and the flying high, as Louis Pasteur said, chances favor only the prepared mind. So let's be prepared to a better future for all of us. And now, coming back to the science and art and to the wonderful exhibition Beyond the Skin, I must say, as I wrote, that the skin is beyond all our mirror. Everything that we went through in our life, mentally and physically, is written in our skin. This is the mirror of our journey on earth, as I wrote in my poetry. So this is the time now to move to the live transmission of the Dead Sea, so you can see it all in life, led by Dr. Oded Kainan, which is the director of the academic development at the Dead Sea and Arava Research Center. And he will lead the further discussion on science and art, talking to the artists and scientists. Thank you very much. Enjoy. So thank you very, very much all. And as I said, from the lowest place on earth, which is very hot, so we had some problems, and I'm sorry about that, but we are speaking about the advantages. And the advantages of this area, especially these days, is that, and as I said, the research, the Dead Sea Research Center, and all what is done here, from, the privilege of the best research to the privilege of the lowest place on earth that provides us, as I said, a lot of good contribution from health to environment and to, almost all area of life. And this is a place, as I said, I hope the next time you will be here with us and you will see the wonderful nature that we are here. And it's the only one, a very unique one, with the qualities and with the beauty. And once you'll be here, the scientist and artist, each one in his point of view, can join forces and learn the best lesson from life, especially these days in the climate change, how to survive, how to adapt, how to do art, and how to deliver your thoughts, your feelings, your health, all point of view, your culture. And all is written, as I said, in our skin, very much aligned with the Beyond the Skin exhibition. So this is a place from skin to all the lessons we can learn from nature to be better and to join forces for a better future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mira. Thank you, all the artists and scientists, for presenting here today. Thank you for all of you for attending in this beautiful surrounding. And I hope we'll see you again here in Israel, in the Dead Sea, and in the Biennale in Venice. Thanks.